Hello everyone, we are a team of students from Master of Business Administration of Postgraduate Institute of Management from Sri Javadanapura University. We are doing the MBA program in UAE. We are from 2017 to 2019 batch, group number 5. Today, our assignment is under leadership and business development. We are introducing a business leader, a well-known Sri Lankan, Mr. Manjula De Silva, holds a BA Honours First Class degree in Economics from the University of Colombo and an MBA from London Business School UK. He is also a FCMA UK and a CGMA. He has pursued executive education at INSEAD Business School, France, and Harvard Business School in USA. So Manjula, can we recall about your childhood and school days?
I was a quiet child in my very young days. I was always good in my studies, never the first in class, but usually second or third. But as I got into the senior grades, I started taking up more responsible positions and moved into leadership positions in various societies, clubs, etc. And that suddenly gave me the opportunity to discover a new talent that I didn't realize I had. That is the talent of getting others to do things, which in short is what leadership is all about. And there were several times where I was entrusted with major responsibilities, and I found that I couldn't have done it by myself, but by getting the support of a team of people, getting them motivated and energized, I was able to get a lot of things done. So that I think helped a lot right throughout my career.
Mr. Manjula, you gave us an interesting brief about your childhood. Can you tell us about your journey from early days of your professional career?
After school, I joined the university to pursue a degree in economics. But as you know, during that 1988-89 period, there was a long period of interruption to academic activities in the university. So during that period, I also did my CIMA exams. And since the universities were closed for a very long period, I thought I will just start getting into a job. The idea was only just to pass time in a productive manner until such time campus reopened. So I applied and got into CTC Eagle Insurance. That's how it was called at that time. Today the company is called AIA Insurance. So I joined as a management trainee, and I really enjoyed working there. Previously I was not very happy about joining the private sector. I always thought this is going to be a temporary arrangement. My idea was to get back to the university and to pursue an academic career. But somehow I began to like what I was doing there. And then of course when campus reopened, the company was kind enough to give me time to go back and complete the degree. So I completed the degree and continued working at CTC Eagle Insurance. And then again came a point at which I had to take a decision because once my results were out, the university wanted me to come back and join the faculty and pursue an academic life, which is what I was really wanting to do earlier. But at this point in time, the company also gave a similar offer. They told me they will sponsor me for an MBA, and I had to make a choice. So that was one of the earliest critical decision points I had to face in my life, and I opted to stay with the company and do the MBA, and for that moment I said no to the academic life.
Sometimes people choose their professional career because of their family background. Do you think there is any specific reason behind your career, or it just happened as a coincidence?
In a way, one can call it a coincidence also, because often, we can't plan all these things well ahead in time, right? Although we would like it to happen that way. Often you have to react to the opportunities that come towards you. And this is what happened in my life. So as I was telling you before, I was at CTC Eagle, but I specialized in the management of investments, and I became a specialist in the fund management, and I became the general manager of the fund management subsidiary of CTC Eagle within 7 years after joining the company as a management trainee. So that is something I'm really proud of, because that was a fairly quick path to reach that level of a GM. Thereafter, of course, after having served in that capacity for about 5 or 6 years, then came my second important decision point, and that was when I was offered a position within the parent company, which is CTC Eagle Insurance, again at a general manager level, but the insurance company was much larger, and the insurance industry in Sri Lanka, as you know, is much bigger than the fund management industry. And as a result, I think within a couple of years we were able to achieve many goals within that period at CTC Eagle Insurance.
If you can explain about yourself in one sentence, how would you say, or what would you tell about yourself?
I would describe myself as a person who wants to make a difference to the lives of fellow human beings. That's my goal in life.
Looking back to your childhood, can you highlight anything you think that molded you to become successful chairman today?
Yes, there were a few experiences. I think, as I mentioned before, I took up certain leadership positions while I was in school itself. And there was this one particular incident I can recall where actually now by that time I had completed my A-levels, because in our school we become prefects after doing the A-levels, and I was the secretary of this society called the United Nations Club, and we were asked to do a fundraiser, a musical concert to raise funds for a CSR type of project we were doing. And now this was going to be held at a time when it was very close to my exams, because I had started doing CIMA, and so this was something I was a little hesitant to undertake initially. But then I found there were a lot of people around me who were very enthusiastic, who wanted to really do it, and I trusted in them. I gave them responsibilities, and I realized that when you give people clear directions, they know what to do, they know they are trusted, they know they are accountable, they will go out and perform and they will deliver. And that is what happened on that occasion, because I was totally focused on my exam. But my team, one person took responsibility for raising funds by getting sponsorship, somebody took the responsibility to contact artists and get the artists to perform at the concert. So many things to do, you know, when you're organizing a concert, right? I had very little to do, except once in a way I used to just check and find out what's happening, and it progressed very well, and it was a very successful event. So this is something which gave me a lot of knowledge and understanding of how you can get people to deliver results if they are motivated and if they are empowered, right? So these are things which we talk about a lot in the corporate world, and I felt that was one early example where at a very young age I learned it through my own experience.
When you look at your personality, your behavior patterns and your management style, what is so unique about you?
I think I'm a person who likes to work with people. I'm a very simple, straightforward, very open type of person. And people, you know, they begin to trust me, which is very important for a leader. And I reciprocate that trust in them. So we kind of tend to develop a very close relationship. And I also am a person who follows up meticulously, right? Because that is very important. You can delegate, you can empower people, but that doesn't mean you can take your eyes off what needs to be done. So what I do is, I don't try to do things myself. I don't go to micromanage, but I keep checking on what needs to be done to make sure that we are on target, whether people are facing some constraints or difficulties, and I'm always there to help them, guide them, listen to them. Listening is very important. I think I also developed this ability to listen because most of my friends are big talkers. And in the groups of friends I had, I was the listener. Everybody else had long stories to tell, and there had to be someone to listen. And that's a very important skill in corporate life, so that people feel that you're there to listen to someone when they come to you with a problem, and give a solution after listening without jumping the gun, as often leaders have a tendency to do. So that actually helped a lot, and I would call my style a very participative, democratic style of leadership, where I give people the maximum freedom. And often you will find that I work the least, because I think if you are an effective leader, you can't be doing most of the work, right? I mean, you may be able to produce results by doing that, but that means you are a star performer as an individual, maybe. But if you are a good leader, your team must work harder than you. So I have always stayed back, helping them and guiding them, and only being there when they need me. That has been my style of leadership, and so far it has worked very well.
As the chairman of National Insurance Trust Fund and consulting and holding various positions of different organizations, do you think that you already achieved your career goals, or you still have many to achieve?
From a career point of view, I am very satisfied that I have achieved what I wanted to achieve, because I had this objective of becoming a general manager at the age of 30, which I managed to do. And then I wanted to be a CEO by the time I was 40, which also I achieved, right? And then I thought, okay, next is to become a chairman of an institution by 50, which also I managed to achieve. So beyond that, actually, career-wise, I am not aspiring anything beyond this. But if I go back to my purpose in life of making a difference to the lives of people, I feel there's so much to do. Now this institution gives me the opportunity to really do that in a big way, because now through this company, through this institution, NITF, we have introduced this natural disaster insurance scheme, through which all the disaster victims get compensation whenever there is a flood or a cyclone and their houses get damaged. So far, more than 200,000 people have benefited from the insurance schemes that we have introduced to help rebuild their lives. And then we also run the government servants health insurance scheme, which covers almost 1 million government employees and their families. And I have done a lot to improve those schemes, enhance their benefits, improve the efficiency of the service that we provide to the government servants. So these things give me a lot of satisfaction. And if I see more opportunities to add more value to people, I will pursue them, but not really to further my career. That is no more the objective.
Do you consider yourself as a risk taker? How success have you been taking risks?
Yes, I think I have taken many risks in my life. As I was talking about, taking that role in insurance was a huge challenge. Coming into a field, I didn't know much about. Having been a specialist in a different field of fund management, coming into insurance, having to guide people who are veterans in the insurance field, that was a huge challenge. But I realized that you don't have to be a subject expert to become a leader, that a leader can get results out of others, provided you stick to the leadership role and don't try to become a technical expert where you are not the technical specialist. So that was a risk, but which worked well for me, and that also helped me later on to become the CEO and MD of HND Assurance. And I even went on to become the president of the Insurance Association of Sri Lanka. And some people think I'm an insurance specialist now, but actually I know I'm not. I'm only a leader, not a specialist. Then the second time of taking a risk was joining the public sector, which I did twice. Once from Eagle Insurance I came into the Public Enterprise Reform Commission, which was the government agency responsible for implementing the privatization program of the country. And as you know, privatization is a very controversial subject in this country, and many people would not have wanted to come into a field like that. But I took the challenge, I came in, and during my time only we handled the sale of the petrol sheds to the Indian Oil Company. That was, I think, by that time the second largest privatization done in this country. So these kind of risk I have taken. And another risk was, okay, if you come into the public sector, there is always a chance that there could be an election, a change of government, you may lose your position. Can you get back a job again in the private sector? But I had confidence in myself. I felt I will always be wanted back, and it worked, because when I wanted to leave work, I got an opportunity to come back to HNB Assurance. And for the second time, I have taken that risk, back again, leaving HNB Assurance and coming here. And I may have a similar situation, because in the public sector, you are here today, you may not be wanted tomorrow, right? So that's a risk. But I felt confident in myself that if one day I'm not needed in one place, somebody else will need me. So in order to do what I want to do, I have never been afraid to take a risk. That applies to my personal life as well as for whatever I have done in the organizations I have led.
As you know that every leaders face so many challenges to become successful. How did you face and overcome those challenges to be successful?
Yes, I had to face a lot of challenges. Maybe if I look back at the time I spent at HNB Assurance, I can talk of a couple of experiences. Now, when I went in, HNB Assurance was a relatively small company. Very few people had heard of it even. I had worked at Eagle Insurance, which was already a giant in the insurance industry, which had very well established practices. And I came here to find that a lot of things were at a very basic level. And we didn't have a proper team. There were only one or two professionals and many gaps in the management structure. And suddenly I felt that this was nowhere near the standard of professionalism that I have generally associated myself with. But I thought little by little we have to work with the people who are there, and by bringing in people into certain slots that needed to be filled, gradually we built up a team, and gradually we instilled the values of professionalism, and within a short period of time we were able to produce results, and suddenly HNB Assurance became a name that people respected, and it became a company highly regarded in the insurance industry. Then came another challenge, that was that due to a change in the legislation relating to insurance, we had to segregate the two businesses, life and general insurance businesses, into two companies. And this is a very disruptive kind of a change, breaking up a company. I knew a lot of people can get disturbed. So we set about in a very methodical manner. We were very open and transparent. We told people why we are doing it, what is being done, how it is going to affect them, and where necessary, we had group discussions. We also had one-to-one discussions with the people who were directly affected by the change. And within a year or so, we were able to do that transition, created a new company for general insurance as a subsidiary, and separated the two teams into the two companies without any disruption or any disturbance, and without affecting the results of both businesses. So these are a few challenges I think I was able to overcome with the support of my team always, without which of course no leader can be successful.
There are people around you, your staff, your direct reportees. How would you see them and how they have contributed to your success today?
I would say it is due to them that I am where I am today, because no leader can be successful without the contribution of those who are being led. And right along, I think I was lucky to have the support of very good people, very committed, dedicated people right along, who, when given the opportunity to perform, they did their best, And as I said earlier, they most often worked harder than me and brought in the results. And sometimes I got the credit for what they did, but I was always mindful of that, and I always tried to pass back the credit, the recognition and the appreciation to those who deserved it. And even here at NITF, it is the same. I work very closely with the CEO. Here I'm the chairman, so I don't try to get too involved with the staff, because when there's a CEO, that is his role. But I work very closely with him, and I have given him the absolute freedom and the liberty to perform in the capacity of a CEO. And as a result, I think he has been able to produce a lot with the support of his team, and I have provided the support from the back end as what a chairman should do, because each time it's a different role and one has to be mindful of that. And in every capacity, in every organization, even in PERC, where I served only for a short period of time, I was able to get the maximum support and contribution from the team. And I think much of my success is due to their efforts.
Mr. Manjula, today you are playing multiple roles such as family man, successful chairman and social worker. Which role do you think most important to you? In other words, how have you been able to manage your work-life balance?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I would say, to me, family comes first. Particularly if there is a crisis at home, somebody is ill or somebody needs extra attention, you have to give that maximum priority and attention. Work comes next, of course, that's very important, and everything else has to come third. And today you can balance all these three without sacrificing one for the other, because we have the devices like the mobile phone, the laptop. So with these, say while you are waiting in the hospital with a family member, you can maybe talk to your staff, get things done, so that way you can multitask and ensure that everything is balanced. But I'm a person who has always worked 8 or 9 hours a day. I typically don't work on Saturdays and Sundays because I feel you have to devote time to your family, and you have to pursue other interests as well. So that balance is very, very important. And if you get things organized, it is not impossible to achieve that.
Considering your family members, friends, previous bosses, who has inspired you and who is your role model?
There are many who have inspired me and helped me, but as a role model, I always think of my father, who was a civil servant. He worked for the government. He was a secretary to several ministries, including the Ministry of Education. I have always looked up to him because to me he was someone who was totally dedicated to his work. Of course, he also looked after the family, so that work-life balance was well maintained. But when it came to work, he was very diligent, very committed, and never took a cent more than what he deserved. So these are qualities that have kind of got instilled in me, and even today I talk to him when I need some guidance, because to a great extent I have molded my life following his footsteps. But there have been also in my working life many bosses who have given me opportunities, who have given me guidance. And I must also mention my wife, who I would call my biggest critic. If I make even one wrong move, she will be the first to point out, and that always helps me because I know there is very genuine, honest feedback, and we as leaders need that, because sometimes people may not want to tell you something direct to the face.
Can you share any occasions that you consider of a greater achievement or accomplishment?
Several, I would say. Again, going back to HNB Assurance, where I served the longest, I think we were able to become the first company to reach a turnover of 1 billion, or actually the fastest to reach 1 billion turnover. So that was a big achievement for a hardly known company at that time. Then back again, the segregation process, we were one of the first to get there, while everybody else was also trying to pursue the same objective. We were able to complete that process really fast, so that gave me a lot of satisfaction professionally. And the improvements that we have done to this government servants insurance scheme, what we call Agrahara. So all these things I get tremendous satisfaction, because you feel at the end of the day that you have made a difference, which will have an impact on a lot of other people who are getting the benefits out of what you have endeavored to do.
We heard that you are contributing for several companies. Could you briefly explain us your role in each organization?
I have had many offers to join boards of directors of companies, but I've been very selective. Wherever I feel that it's a company which is doing something in line with my philosophy of adding value to people, I have taken on those responsibilities. So two such companies I am on the board: BPPL Holdings, which is one of the largest brush manufacturers in Sri Lanka, and they have also recently set up a yarn factory. And what is unique about them is that they use as raw material the PET bottles that we throw away. So it's a green type of company which is doing a lot for the environment by making use of the PET bottles that are being thrown away and which are otherwise harmful to the environment, and making yarn as well as filaments for brushes using the plastic extracted from disposed bottles. And then I'm also on the board of Tea Smallholder Factories, which is a company which buys tea from smallholders who cultivate tea and who don't have factories of their own, and we do a lot to uplift their living standards. So these kind of companies I'm proud to be associated with. In both of them I'm a director as well as the chairman of the audit committee.
Leaders have so many secrets of success. So what is your secret in your success?
I don't think there is a secret, but I follow what a lot of people know but sometimes don't follow. That is that leadership is all about people, that you have to motivate people, guide them, give them space to do what they are good at. I mean, these things a lot of people know. This is in the textbooks. I'm not saying something unknown to many. But you find strangely, this is not practiced in many places. But I really practiced this very simple formula, and not try to overdo, not try to micromanage. I think that is the secret of success, because people, as a result, love working with me, right? Because they find that I'm a kind of a leader. I won't like to even use the word boss. The boss gives a different impression. But as a leader, a person who's there only when they need, and who at the rest of the time allows them to do what they know to do and what they're good at doing. And if you just can restrict yourself to that, you can get a lot done. That is my simple recipe for success.
Manjula, this will be our last question to you. What would be your advice to the leaders and people who are like ourselves, which we are trying to become as successful as you? What kind of advice you give us?
A couple of things. Take challenges, take opportunities that come in front of you. Often you find that people sometimes want to stay in their own comfort zone, right? And they want to be promoted, they want to progress in life, but by just clinging on to whatever they are doing, right? But that opportunity is often not there, right? Maybe in a very rare opportunity you might have it, but typically not, right? If you want progress in life, you have to take the opportunities that come, which may involve some challenges, some risks, but take them on, have confidence in yourself. That will help you to progress. And the second thing is, no one can really achieve heights, particularly as a leader, unless you are willing to work with people, because no leader is effective unless you have acceptance from the people you lead. So, I mean, there are people sometimes I see who are hard workers, right? So they are working till late at night. Everybody else has gone home and the leader is working alone in his cubicle, right? I see this often, right? That is not leadership to me, right? He may be a star performer, but if you can't get your vision to be passed on to the others, get other people aligned to your thinking, right? And get them to work with you to achieve the common goals, then you can't go very far, right? Because even if you're very smart, there's little that one human being can achieve, right? So if you can mobilize people, get the support of the rest, there is no limit to what you can do.
I think you gave one of the best advices that anyone can have. With this, we will like to conclude our interview with you, Mr. Manjula, for the assignment on leadership and business development. We really appreciate the time, the valuable thoughts and the experience shared with us. I'm sure it will be a wonderful experience to all of us young business leaders going forward after watching our video. Thank you very much, Manjula.